So yes, I was right from the last issue. Our heroes are dealing with the Shadow King. I am an old X-Men fan, so it's still kind of hard for me to refer to Magneto as a hero, even though it's been going on for quite some time now, but I digress. Also, there are some beings that you don't want to tangle with outside of their dimension or their realm, but you definitely don't want to tangle with them inside their realm, i.e. Dormammu, Mephisto. Yes, I know some people think he's a clown. He's strong as hell when he's in hell. And the Shadow King. During a rock and a hard place, for those of you guys who don't know like the literal definition of a rock and a hard place, it's two equally difficult alternatives. You could try to run, but where you going? You're at the mercy of the Shadow King. They could try to fight, but again, he's significantly stronger in the Shadow Realm than he is anywhere else. So you're probably going to lose, so you're at the mercy of the Shadow King. So what are these two going to do? You're about to find out. My name is Dory and this is SEO Comics. We are continuing our coverage of the Fall of the House of X with the resurrection of Magneto. Number 3. So our story starts off with Storm having to face down the Annihilation mask. It used to be the staff. Now I guess it's a mask. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Annihilation was in X-Men Red, and Storm had to face Annihilation when Genesis had Annihilation. She defeated it. It used to be a staff. She melted down with lightning. Now in the Shadow Realm, I guess it's just a mask. If you want to learn more about that, cards right there. Link will be in the playlist to X-Men Red. So the mask pretty much goes to Storm and says, Aurora, did you honestly think we were done? So as I was reading this, all I'm thinking to myself is Storm's probably like, yeah, I thought we were done. Did you see how bad I defeated you? Everybody want to talk about John 3:16. Well, Storm 3:16 says, I just melted your ass. That worked for Stone Cold. He sold like millions of t-shirts. You think I sold millions of t-shirts saying Storm 3:16? Let me know in the comments. So Storm's like, where'd you take Max? And Annihilation is like, far away. Answer the question. Storm goes, yes, I thought we were done. I ended you when I ended the Genesis War. So Storm's pretty much saying that she pretty much
stomp a mud hole in your ass and walk it dry.
So Annihilation's like, you melted some gold. You destroyed the physical form that I took in physical space, but I'm much more difficult to dispose of than that. So Storm's like, it's funny you said that, because when we got here, another spoke to me, an evil that the X-Men know all too well. We knew him as the Shadow King. And then he takes off the mask. And the Shadow King goes, huh, so Annihilation was truly just a mask. Or the Shadow King is a figment of Annihilation. Perhaps you're thinking too small, Wind Rider. There goes the games. So when we turn the page, we see that Shadow King might be an aspect, or he might be aspects of all these characters, and there are some heavy hitters here. Heavy hitters. The fiery looking creature is La Bête Noire. I believe it only appeared in one comic book, and that was Gambit per Bishop in the early 2000s. He gave him issues, but you know, they was able to handle him. The Native American looking dude, I'm not gonna lie, I almost said the dreaded I word a whole bunch of times recording this, but he is Adversary. Now he is like old, I'm talking about like comic book form. He was like a Chris Claremont creation, so he's like early 1980s. Now the Egyptian looking dude is the First Fallen. I remember reading that Uncanny X-Men book that was like mid 2000s. Yeah, he gave all kinds of fits. And the shadowy creature behind him is probably the one I would be most worried about. That is the Goblin Force. The Goblin Force is like the Phoenix Force, but let me tell you, Goblin Force actually beat the Phoenix Force. It beat Galactus. It took the 5th host, which is a big old celestial, to finally take it down, and it didn't kill it, it just contained it. So yeah, Goblin Force is all kinds of problems. And so Annihilation asks again, so are we done? And Storm goes, no, I guess we're not done. And she starts powering up. And can I say, in this comic, man, they got Storm's ab muscles jumping. I'm like, holy crap. And before you guys start talking about, he's talking about imaginary character, how many people will talk about X-Men 97 and Rogue's ass? So I don't want to hear it. I'm just saying, when it comes to this comic book, I'm like Bertie Mac.
Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
So she's taking on all these different aspects, which I said, a lot of these are some heavy hitters. So, I mean, how much can she really do? But What else she gonna do? She gotta fight. And while that's going on, you got Eric and it looks like Professor Xavier, but we all know it's the Shadow King, pretty much watching it. And Professor Xavier goes, man, she would have been a really good evil mutant. And Magneto's like, she wouldn't have put up with me back then. And besides, you can drop the facade, Shadow King. I know it's you. So Shadow King's like, you're trying to tell me with all you learn about Charles Xavier, there is no shadow in him? And Magneto doesn't even bat an eyelash. He goes, Charles is a good man. And then the Shadow King's like, we must beware of good men. So is that why you called your faction Brotherhood of Evil Mutants? Then Magneto brings up a pretty good point. He goes, I explained this 100 times. The oppressor applies the label. We are evil just for existing. Thus, all other evils can be imagined must apply. So now the Shadow King is looking like Professor Xavier in a hover chair, and he goes, yeah, you're always making points. But let's face it, you just wanted to create fear. Isn't that right, Eric? And he goes, stop calling me that. You're not Charles. So now he's Charles Xavier, but now he's in the classic wheelchair. And he goes, yeah, but you met him as Eric Lyncher. But you want to be Max now, right? I guess this is your way to try to drop all the masks. But let's face it, there's one mask that you can't drop. What's really in your heart? What do you call yourself? And Eric goes, Magneto. And the Shadow King turns into the old Magneto and starts ranting and raving. He goes, the human race no longer deserves dominance over the planet. The day of mutants is upon us. First phase of my plan is to show my power and to make Homo sapiens bow to Homo superiors. So while that's going on, Storm is fighting all these aspects by herself. And the Shadow King is like, look at you, Aurora, whose name means beauty. So powerful, so perfect. Don't ever change. And the first fallen pretty much puts her into like this crystallized state. So as she's standing there frozen, she doubts herself for a split second. But then she breaks out and she goes, no, I will not be caged, demon, by you nor by anyone else. So the Shadow King's like, really? Not even yourself? Would you even have a choice? So out of nowhere, the Annihilation Mask appears on Storm and it's like, you wouldn't listen to me in your own reality, but you're in my house. Now it's just you and me, and it's my turn to speak. I misread you last time we spoke. You couldn't listen then. Your responsibilities wouldn't permit you. You bounce around from responsibility to responsibility like a butterfly bounces to flower. You're like a magician, just spinning plates. Can a rocko be free if you're not there to free it? Can Earth have a voice if you're not there to voice it? Can evil be fought if you're not there to fight it? Can the world go on without Aurora Monroe? So she finally gets the mask off and the Shadow King goes, how many times have you saved the world, Aurora? How many times have the X-Men saved the universe because you were there? So now he looks like Professor Xavier to Storm, and she pretty much says the same thing Magneto says. She's like, look, I know you're not Professor Xavier, and it's pretty much being disrespectful to the people who you're taking these forms of. And then she adds, so are you just claiming to be all the X-Men villains that we ever fought? And he's like, no, I can't take that credit. So we are broken into categories. Speaking of categories, Max, that's a man that has categories. And speaking of Max, he's still arguing with himself. So the younger Magneto is pretty much telling the older Magneto, remember, we are Homo superiors. We are born to rule the earth. The humans must be our slaves. And the older Magneto's like, you don't need to shame me with my own words. Remember, I said them. And then younger Magneto's like, how dare you say that in my presence? Have you forgotten the personal feelings are nothing? It is the plan that is all important. And older Magneto's like, oh yes, the plan. My great scheme to give humanity a single target to focus on. Yes, I remember telling myself exactly that. That Charles's carrot would not tempt the humans to justice without an opposing stick. Magneto will be that iron rod to beat sense into the humans, and if necessary, into Charles and his students, and how quickly it became necessary. Charles once told me that humans and mutants could create a golden age on Earth if they could only work side by side. I forget my exact response to that particular utopian notion, but I bet you remember. Never. The humans must be our slaves. They are not worthy to share dominion over this earth with us. You have made your choice. Forevermore, we are mortal foes. Yes, I made my choice to reject Charles, and later, to reject you. But to live is to learn, and perhaps having learned, to choose again. I see you, Magneto, and there is still a place for us on this broken land. So pretty much Magneto is doing what we all wish we could do. He's talking to his younger self who thought he knew everything, he had the world figured out. Really, he knew nothing. And since he knew nothing, he made mistake after mistake after mistake. But as long as you learn from them mistakes, then you can become a better person. Magneto has become a better person, and now that's pissing off the Shadow King. So then the Shadow King asks Storm, what's your choice? You can accept me as just being part of the human condition and go about your way, or you can battle me, which makes somewhat sense. You might want to take me out, especially because you got to deal with some other people like Enigma and Orcus. But if you are going to do it, you're going to do it alone. So then Storm just sits there with her perfect ab muscles, and she contemplates for a second. And she goes, I'm an X-Men, Shadow King. I'm never alone. And she reaches out her hand, and it's grabbed by Magneto. And they use the same move that they used on Uranus to take him out, because he was taking out everybody. Where Storm feeds her power into Magneto to boost him up so that he can give a blast to stop him. But it's at a cost, because Storm pretty much used her life energy to feed into Magneto to stop the Shadow King. So now she's about to pass away. Magneto ain't having it. He's like, there's not going to be one more person to die in my name. And he uses his life energy to pretty much help Storm out. Plus also too, on the other side, you got Blue Marvel and Galactus's mom pretty much hitting her with these cosmic paddles to bring her back to life, and it works. And Blue Marvel's pretty much looking at her like, you lucky you beautiful. You lucky I drink your bathwater. Otherwise, we'll be having a little more serious conversation here. But then Storm's like, hey, there's somebody else coming through the portal. And who is it? Well, it's Magneto. He used the key again. And this time, instead of taking to the Shadow Realm, he comes back to the real world. And he looks young as hell. Why is he looking younger? I have no idea. All I know is we got one more issue left in this, and maybe, hopefully, Storm and Magneto could get on the Orcus killing bandwagon.